All right. Good morning. Well, it's probably more morning for a lot of you. For me, it's around noon. But here we are. I got my coffee, I got some stuff, and we're ready to go. So, my name is Chris Whitpan. I am the host of Game All Night. I also work for Renegade. I'm their events manager, and this is an event. I've also been a chef for about, oh, I hate to say it, 30 years. So I kind of know how to work around the kitchen. So this is going to be fun. Now, what I've decided to do is I want to make snacks that kind of play into gaming. Some are themed for games, but some will also be not as messy so that you can have them during games, right? Like that's kind of what you want. So we have a lot of stuff going on today. So we're going to kind of dive right into this, and I'll try and keep up with things. If you have questions about recipes and things like that, I can certainly answer them. I may have to circle back around because I want to try and give you guys a lot of stuff today. So we're going to kind of tackle several different recipes, but we will see how this works and we'll see how far I get. I got a lot of things planned. So we'll see. Let's get going. So we're going to start off with a hot thing. And we need to think about this now because I'd like it to be ready by the time we're halfway done the show. So what we're going to make today is we are going to make some Greek meatballs. All right. So Greek meatballs are, everybody's had like the little Italian meatballs. You can buy the big thing at Costco. They're great and they're fine. But if you want to make some fresh ones, we're going to knock that out today. So what I have here is I have just about a pound and a half of ground beef. And I will tell you that my general rule of thumb, everybody always asks me for like meatloaf, things like that. For every pound you do 1 egg and do a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. That's kind of it. Everything else is entirely up to you. You can play with it all you want. You can add different spices and herbs, but that kind of core ratio will help you kind of have like a good binder. So there we go. All right, so we have that. So what I did was I went ahead and chopped some white onions. This is about 1/2 cup. We're going to dump almost all that in here. All right, and then we are going to take 1 egg. And be honest with you, I like to mix my egg beforehand. And we're going to dump that in. All right. So for breadcrumbs, I like panko. I don't like the basic powdery ground breadcrumbs. You want something that's got a little structure to it. So panko really does that job, and it's super universal. I hear some people saying like crackers and things. Again, same thing, right? A little larger, has a little more volume, and brings a little flavor with being neutral though, right? Like Ritz they're just a little buttery and salty, so you're not bringing like Italian breadcrumbs. Like if you have them, just go get panko. So we're going to put in, this is about a little more than I need. All right. And we want to add some garlic. So let me switch on my little cam here. I will start by showing you one of my tricks. So you have garlic cloves. They're just got the paper on them. I like this tool. You can also use a knife. This is just a bench scraper, and smack it. And then the paper just peels right away. You don't even have to worry about it anymore. So that makes life super easy. Throw them in my little trash bucket, and then we're just going to give this a little quick choppy chop. It could be a little on the bigger side. I don't really care. All right. Now, what my bench scraper is here for, it serves two purposes. It's also for pulling this off my bench, because if I use my knife, I'm going to dull my knife, and I don't want to do that. So that works. The other thing we're going to do, and what makes this kind of a Greek meatball, is mint. So I went out to my lustrous herb garden, which really just means that patch in my backyard that has like become overgrown with mint. and I grabbed some. So we're just going to pluck the bigger ones here, and we are going to give them a nice rough chop. I did wash these because, you know, you just never know. Birds like to live there, things like that. All right, don't worry about the tiny, tiny leaves. They can be a little bitter. So I'm going to leave like those. But if you've ever had grown mint in your house, you know that you are not wanting for it. So it's a little okay. All right, now I'm going to do about, this is going to be 2 stalks of this. It's going to be a 1/4 cup. You really do want to use fresh for this guy. You know, mint is very traditional in Greek cuisine. I spent actually 2 years as a corporate chef for a Greek restaurant chain. So this recipe we used to serve there, so, you know, which was mine. So I can kind of, the fresher the better is definitely the truth. All right, so we got about a 1/4 cup of loose leaves here. So you can kind of see that over here. And we're just going to give that a quick chop with my chef knife. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of bundle them together and then just do what we call a rock chop, which is holding the point of the knife and then just kind of rolling across the mint. And again, we want this a little on the rough side. We want it to be a little, you know, you want, if you're putting the time in to chop something like this, if you do it like really, really minced and fine, people are going to think you cheated. So get credit for your hard work and show it off. You know, get those rustic cuts. Bench scraper, look at that. Isn't that cool? Like right in. All right. So we have our mix here. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to add a little ground pepper. All right, excellent. Now, this is where I like to just use a glove and get in here. All right, now these are pretty solid meatballs. There's nothing too crazy, but these are great little appetizer meatballs. And that's what I love about them. They're just great by themselves. They don't need sauces. They don't need like barbecue. You don't need to braise them. We're just going to end up baking these. All right. Getting a good mix on. And then I'm going to pull out my secret ingredient. So this, like I said, this is a good Greek meatball. And if you want to stop here and proceed to the next step, that's fine. But we're gonna make this extra special. We are going to grab some feta cheese. Haha. So what we're gonna do with the feta is you can buy this in the water. You can, you know, I tend to like it on the dry side, just because it's easier to deal with. All right, we're going to take about half of this. This is about 4 ounces, and we're just going to crumble this in. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Look at that goodness just going into that bowl. And again, I want it pea-sized. So one thing I didn't mention was with the onions, the smaller the thing that you're making, the smaller you want your stuff to be, right? So I'm going to tell you, my meatballs are going to be kind of smallish. So what I want to do is I want them to kind of have like the onions really fine, like if you ever got a Big Mac, that size, right? That really fine kind of almost mince. And then I'm just loosely mixing up this feta because I don't want to break it up too much. All right, we want to leave like the feta pockets. Okay, that's why I added the feta after I did my big mix. All right, cool. Beans. Look at this, that's looking good. Right, see that? Got nice even distribution, but you can still see some chunky chunks in there. All right, excellent. All right, now, my oven's been preheated to 425 because we are roasting, all right? When you roast something, that generally means your oven needs to be above 400 degrees, okay? 350, 375, 325. That's all baking temperatures, and that's fine. But when it comes to veggies, when it comes to meatballs and meats and things like that, that's a roast. You want that higher temperature. All right. Now, I got a scoop because I like to make my life easy. This is a small scoop. Now, if you want to go on Amazon and buy a set of scoops, that's awesome. These are great. They're color-coded and they are numbered. The trick is they're numbered by this. The quiz will come later. How many scoops go in a quart? So this is what we call a number 40 scoop. All right, it just means it's tiny. The bigger the number, the smaller the scoop. I have a number 8 scoop, which is a half cup, which is perfect for hamburgers. It's big, but this is great for meatballs. And this is the quick way to both portion them and get that perfect little meatball shape. So we're just going to take this, and I got a tray, and I'm a huge fan of silicone mats, as you can see here. All right. Now, I don't have to worry too much about spacing these because, it's not a cookie. These aren't going to spread. They're just going to kind of shrink a little bit. This is relatively lean. I want to say this is 92% beef. All right. If you really want to get authentic, you could either, add in some ground lamb. All right. But what makes these board games safe, I'll tell you what makes them board game safe, is the fact that they are going to be able to be served with a skewer, and we're not saucing these, so you don't have to worry about it. You're not going to worry about somebody dripping things. You can just put a couple toothpicks out or skewers, and people can just like pop them in their mouth in one shot. All right. One of the keys to what I consider to be board game related food is that it's easily snacked on in one bite. All right. I have the most courteous friends in the world. I have a friend who will, and I swear to God, I am not lying here, people. He will eat potato chips with a fork because he does not want to damage components, but he still likes to eat potato chips. I mean, come on, shouldn't everybody be that awesome? That's kind of really awesome. So, shout out to Vienne for just being just an awesome all-around guy. All right, so I could sit here and I could scoop these all day. I will do one more row, and then we're going to pop these in the oven, and I'll bake the rest later. All right, because we're going to move on to our next thing, because I want to show you guys some stuff today. So, Greek meatballs. Now, the time on these, not going to be that long. So, probably I would say 15, 20 minutes. We'll give it a check and we'll look, because these are kind of small. And to be honest with you, when I do my Italian meatballs at home, I do the exact same thing. I bake them, and then I take that and I add that to my sauce. And I will literally just dump all the juice that comes off it into my sauce. So, delicious. All right. So we're going to pop that in our 425 oven, and we're going to check that in a bit. All right. See, the scraper has many purposes. All right. So the next thing I thought we could do is we're going to swap out our herbs for some fresh basil today. All right. We're going to grab some skewers. I have some balsamic glaze. Now, you can make your own balsamic glaze. That's fine too. Totally works. They're fine. But if you want to make your own, it just tends to be a little more expensive than it needs to be, because you're kind of really reducing everything down. All right, so what we're going to make now is we are going to make some Caprese skewers. All right, so we have some nice little fresh heirloom cherry tomatoes. We got lots of nice little colors here. I got some yellow, got some red, got some purplish. And then I have some mozzarella. Now this is fresh mozz, and it's this is what we call like the little egg. I forget what it's called. Cientente. Not great at my Italian. I apologize. But they're like the little egg-shaped ones, and they're really tiny. They're like the size of an eyeball. If you want to gross out kids, this would probably be good. So we're going to start with that. And I got some skewers and I got some fresh basil, which that's everything you need for a caprese salad. So let's, I got some skewers. Now, I'll tell you what, go buy the big ones. Then you have them if you want to use them on the grill, you have them if you want to use them here, all those different things. So I just chopped these down. I just used a pair of scissors, cut them down because I want them to be a little smaller. Nice and easy. We can make this right into our tray. All right, now a caprese is essentially going to be red, green, white. All right, so what I like to do is I like to take a basil leaf, put it around the cheese, and then we can just kind of skewer it through. And I don't go all the way through the cheese. I just leave a little bit. That way she can stand up if she feels like it. She's not feeling like it, so we'll push it all the way through. All right, again, a simple little single bite. Now, I will tell you that the mozzarella is kind of very bland, and technically so is a tomato. So what I want to do is I definitely want to take a little kosher salt, and I just want to sprinkle it on my cheese. All right, and then we'll just make a few of those. All right, just a simple little thing that you can do, and I'm grabbing like these smaller leaves that you just don't use on the basil stalk. I'm very fortunate. We get like this nice live basil the years I don't get to grow it. All right, and just do that. Just season the. It's not going to stick to the tomatoes. Let's be honest here, but it certainly will stick to the cheese. So use that as your salt delivery vehicle. All right. Now, you could also make this, much larger if you wanted. If you wanted to put like a couple layers on there. But again, we're thinking gamers. We got a nice big handle that they can grab. All right. So we're not trying to get too crazy with it in size. And we'll just make a few of these. This goes pretty easy when you have it all set up, right? Like, see how quick we're going? The order is kind of important because generally speaking, somebody's going to grab this from the cheese side. So the salt is going to come on the cheese. That's going to hit you first. And then you're going to get the tomato after. So it has that effect. And guess what? Green and red are complementary colors. So by putting them next to each other when it happens, even better. So we're just, all right. But it looks like you spent like forever doing this, right? All right, so let's talk a minute about, while I'm doing this, I can do two things at once, I promise. Let's talk a little bit about kosher salt, because you see me grabbing salt and just shaking it on, okay? This is, if you take one thing away today, all right? Maybe switch your salt to kosher. Kosher salt is lovely because it's very tactile. You can feel it. You can see how much you're shaking. There's none of the shake it in your hand to see if anything's coming out. You're not playing that game. You can pretty much substitute it for any salt you have. It's not a problem. If you want to use it in baking, you can. Just if you're doing something small and fine, I keep like some sea salt around for that. The other thing is, it's less saline, which means it's less salty salt, okay? That's going to mean that you can have a little bigger window before you're going to oversalt something, all right? Which is pretty awesome. It gives you a little flexibility. It allows you a little margin of error, all right? And then we also want to salt multiple times because we're just doing a little salt on the cheese. There's going to be probably a little bit coming from the balsamic glaze that we're going to use here in a minute. So all those things are kind of bringing a little salt to the party. So if we kind of layer on the salt, you're going to have a better result. And keep mindful of where salt's coming from. Like if you're cooking with chicken stock that you bought, things like that. That's bringing salt to the party, so it'll cause you to use less because you know it's coming from there. All right. Oh, we're running out of small leaves. No, we're not. Haha, just kidding. All right, I love caprese salad, and this, I mean, come on, look, we're almost at, what, 12 skewers here? All right, I just want to do a couple of every color, and then we're going to call this done. The other thing kosher salt does that's really cool, when you go to start searing and cooking meats and things like that, salt doesn't melt. Like when it comes to heat, like if you remember high school, you had to like literally get a crucible to melt the salt, right? So what that does is it kind of creates a barrier between your food and the heating implement. So that is allowing you to kind of have, it's almost like a non-stick surface. So it gives you a little insurance for, you know, prevent sticking. All right, so I think that's pretty good, right? Boom, nice. All right, so what we're gonna do is, got our little camera here. We are going to, dishes are gonna be fun. Unfortunately, I sent my dishwasher home. I'm just gonna give these a little balsamic glaze drizzle, just kind of a little bit. Again, you don't need a lot, but that's it. So there we have our Caprese Skewers. All right, simple, easy. Buy a pack of, you know, the tomatoes. Buy a pack of the mozzarella. Now, look, if you need to cut things and use quartered tomatoes and use quartered mozzarella, that's fine. Do what you got to do, but do not try to use anything other than fresh basil. It just will not work. You can do other things like maybe a spinach or something if you don't like basil, but for the most part, you kind of need to use it. So there you go. That's our Caprese Skewers. I love those things. They're perfect. Perfect little guys. All right, so next thing. All right, this is a little tricky because this is a dip, all right? But I think it's important to have a good dip in the bag. And I'd much rather have a good guacamole than I would rather have somebody like with a big chunky ranch dip or something like that. Put some scoops out, pre-portion some guacamole in the little scoops. You can use a pastry bag, whatever you got to do. But I think that, you know, you need to have a good guacamole in your back pocket. So we are going to make a very quick one. All right, we're not going to go too crazy. This is a pretty basic one. We have our avocados. They have the little stones. Make sure you take out these guys that live on the top of it. All right, we're going to get rid of that. Now, these should be soft but firm, okay? Which means like you can push on it and you feel some resistance, all right? But it's not squishy. Now, I like a kind of a chunkier guacamole, so I want something that's going to be a little, you know, more firm. But if you like a squishy one, by all means, you can use the squishy ones. But whatever you do, do not get the hard ones. Hard ones are bad. So let's just go with that a little on the soft side. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut down the northern equator, the north-south equator, not the round one, and I just roll the avocado around. I never move the knife. All right, and then I can just take this, twist the bottom and the top, and voila. All right, to get rid of the stone, I just tap my knife on it and twist, and the stone pops out. All right, let's see if my little cam is good for this. So we're going to put this in here. Just roll the avocado around. Then we twist, pop, and then just the pit, you're just going to tap it, well, tap it, and then twist. All right, so there we go, done. Now, if you want the real trick, I will show you that one. Perhaps you are doing a large amount of guacamole. I like to get one of these grates. All right. And then you just take your little guy here, and we're just going to scoop it out with a spoon, trying to leave hardly any behind. I tell you what, I love a good guacamole. I think it is something, if you like it, that's fine. If you don't, that's cool too. All right. Now what I'm going to do is just push them through. Squish. Squish. All right. And then just kind of run your hands on it to get it all through. Boom, boom, boom. Done. All right. So we got that. We're good to go with that. So now we have our nice diced guacamole. Kind of snazzy, huh? All right, so I'll tell you, I've worked in a lot of kitchens. I've worked in a lot of kitchens that what we like to call Mexican kitchens, where we have a lot of people in the Philadelphia area who come up from Mexico and they work in our kitchens, and the food that we get, the snacks, the tamale truck that pulls up out back, there's many benefits, and I just love it. But I have literally had some of my employees in the past tell me that my guacamole is better than theirs. So I'll take that for a win. All right, so real quick, onions 101. So we got an onion, all right? Now, see the bands here on the onion? Our onion's already halfway cut for us. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut like this. All right, so we're going to cut across here, and then what we're going to do is just dice it. So it's going to be really quick. So here we go. So we're going to go doink. I'm not cutting all the way through to the root end. I'm leaving that on. And I want this to be kind of small, so I'm doing these at about, let's call it, a 1/4 inch or less, in that ballpark. All right, so you can see here, see how I kind of sliced, kind of coming from the center. Let the onion do the work. All right, we're going to take this and then we're just going to cut it, same thing, 1/4 inch. We're just going to make a couple quick passes. That's all we need. We don't need that much onion for 2 avocados, which is kind of small. So, but red onion is kind of important, if you ask me, for this. Okay, so we got our red onion, jalapeno. I like a hot guacamole. All right, now, jalapenos, peppers in general, we have 3 levels of heat. We have the least heat, which is the skin itself. So if we look at this, the actual pulp of the pepper is the least hot part. The ribs are going to be the second hot part, and then the seeds are the hottest part. So if you just want to add a little jalapeno flavor and a little warmth, take those ribs and seeds out. So we're just going to take that and we're just going to slide our knife and we're just going to pop this rib and this seed out. All right, and scrape those seeds into the trash. So we get that. Okay, nice little cleaned out hull. You could leave the ribs behind, just pull out the seeds if you want. You could chop it all together, however much heat you want. All right, and we're going to cut this fine. So we're going to go and make a bunch of thin little strips. All right, make a little pile of matchsticks here. And we're going to turn it 90 degrees. And we're going to come back the other way, keeping your thumbs out. All right, Maybe I need a knife skills class someday, but we're not doing that at Gen Con. So here we go. In goes the jalapenos. It would be advisable to wash your hands. So we will rinse them real quick, and we'll just give a quick wipe to the area. All right, lime. Lime is another key ingredient here. One of my all-time favorite tools in my kitchen. All right, I love this thing to death. I highly recommend. I don't tell you to buy many things. This is one of them. All right, whether you're doing lemons or limes, and I just like this guy. All right, and the lime goes in not the way you think. It goes in flat side down. All right, and then we're just going to take this and squeeze away. All right, now that was a very juicy lime, so I'm thinking we're going to be okay with the amount of lime juice in there. And then last but not least, we need some salt. Now, I can tell you, again, we're using kosher salt, so I can tell you that a 3-finger pinch for me is like a perfect teaspoon. So I will do that one time in here. All right. And then we're just going to grab a fork because I don't want to mash up my avocado too much. And the fork will do just enough. It'll kind of mush it up a little bit. If you want, you can take it and you can squish it by hand. That's fine too. But you know, if we use the cooling rack and we have that, you know, I like it on the chunky side. But I kind of, like I said, I think everybody should have a good guacamole recipe in their back pocket. And this is by far my favorite. You could add a little fresh tomato in here if you wanted. It's not, I'll do it if I'm making it and serving it right away. But if I'm going to keep it for a day or later that day, then I will not, because the acid in the tomatoes and things can cause it to brown faster. All right. Now the other trick is when we go store this, we're going to put our plastic on there and we are going to squish it all the way down on top. Do not leave any air in there whatsoever. Okay, and that will keep your guacamole green. Between that and the lime juice, you are good. You know, the other tricks like, oh, you can squeeze some lime juice over the top. Well, now you're getting into flavor territory and you don't want to mess with that. So just get a nice surface on there and just cover it completely. And since my wife doesn't like guacamole, I can eat all of this. Oh, so good. So good. So there you go. Quick and easy guacamole, no excuse, right? Now, you can also add some cilantro to that. You can add other things. But for me, just like that, I'm happy as all hell. So let's get on to the next. Woo, we're trucking right along. We're about halfway. Let's check our meatballs. Ooh, very good. We are going to turn the oven off. Get rid of this. And we are going to pull our meatballs out. All right. So these guys are looking fabulous. All right. Now we do want to let them rest. All right. We don't want to just scarf them right now. Always let your meats rest. So we're going to let them rest for, you know, a good 10 minutes. But they're amazing. They're nice. They're small. They're bite-sized. If you got a big mouth like me, and they're looking good. So we'll plate them up in a little bit. All right. So what next? Oh, I know what's next. We are going to do some deviled eggs, right? Come on. They get a bad rap. Like, we haven't had them in forever. You know, maybe somebody brings them to a picnic. We're going to make them a little fancy. Big surprise, right? Into the fridge of wonder. So hard-boiled eggs. Now, if you want to hard-boil eggs, this is all you need to do. If you don't want the green ring and all that and all the fun things, it's not that hard. When the water comes to a boil, it doesn't need salt or anything. When the water comes to a boil, you want to use older eggs instead of newer ones. Make them a lot easier to peel. When it comes to a boil, put in your eggs using tongs, and then 12 minutes, pull them out, shove them in ice water. Perfect every time. There you go. All right, so we're going to gently cut these in half. See, look, no green on that egg yolk, huh? Huh? All right, so we're just going to pop these out. We'll do a few. We're not going to go too crazy. I love deviled eggs. They're kind of like, you know, you probably have that one friend who makes them for events and things, and then like you forget how good they are. All right, so we're just going to do 3 eggs here. We'll do a small batch because again, I have to eat all this food. And Sharon's working late tonight. All right, so the deviled egg, if you're doing this traditionally, we might add a little bit of mustard. So let's grab the, pardon me, do you have any Grey Poupon? Of course I do. So what do they call Dijon mustard in Dijon, France? I'm just asking for a friend. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to mash up our yolks here. Because this is going to be a small batch, I'll just use a fork, but you could absolutely use a hand mixer or something like that. I'm just using a nice light fork. Get in there, forky fork. All right. Now, you don't need a lot of mustard. And I'll tell you why, because we're doing something super special here. We are making truffled deviled eggs, okay? So this isn't just your mama variety. We'll throw some mustard in here, and then we'll throw some paprika on top and call it done. Come on, we gotta make it a little fancy. So we're gonna add in just a little bit of truffle oil. But the mustard does help, and it helps kind of ground things. Mustard is a great little binder and things like that. So we definitely want a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I'm talking like a teaspoon. Not a literal, like a literal teaspoon, not a teaspoon. Okay, you got me? All right. We're gonna mix that up, get that around. You can start to see our egg yolks come together. Let's give it a little pinch of salt. All right. And then we just have some white truffle oil. So what this is they basically take, oh, I love this stuff. They basically take white truffles and they soak them in olive oil, and then you kind of get a olive oil product. Now, I will tell you, this is fake, which is why I use it when friends come over. But if I'm making a salad where all I'm doing is truffle oil, I use the real stuff. But for something like this is pretty good. It equates the flavors. What I will tell you, though, is the flavor is pretty volatile, so you want to make sure you get like small bottles of this, because it's not something you use every day, but when you use it, you want to make sure it's potent, and the truffle flavor will diminish over time. So just be aware of that. So we're just going to put, this is about, I call that a full teaspoon or so, and we're just going to mix it up, mash it up. And now you can kind of see here on camera here, we're getting a little bit of a paste, which is what we want. All right, time to sample. See how we're doing on flavor. Taste your food. Needs a little more oil. So we'll call that 2 teaspoons. But again, depending on the strength of your oil, the brand, if it's real or not, that's going to change. So don't take me as gospel there. You want to make sure that you're using the right amount. So taste, taste, taste. And it was a little lacking on salt, so we're just going to put a little more salt in. Now, another chef trick is we like to go in my spice drawer here. When we're doing mashed potatoes, or we're doing something like this where the color is kind of very important, we want to use white pepper, okay? Don't want to use black, because all those little black specks in there kind of ruin this nice presentation. So, but do be careful. White pepper, a little goes a long way. So we're just going to give it a quick little, just a little shake, all right? But it's handy to have around. I like it for soups, because whenever I have like chicken canadle soup, that pepper always chokes me because it's too much. So this gets around that fact. Let's go in the baking drawer. We'll put a quick little pastry bag. You don't need a pastry bag. You could simply use a spoon and just kind of put this on. All right, it's not a problem. All my little tips. So I got that little star guy, we'll use him. Helps if you go in there. That was supposed to be like all cool and slick, and it didn't quite work out. There we go. All right. And then just take this guy, and if you can't hold it, that's fine. Get a cup. Put this in a cup or a tall container. Push it down. And scoop it in. All right. Now, actually, I do want to add one thing to this, and I can do that real quick while it's in the bag. I want to add some chives. We'll put some on top too, but you know, just got some fresh chives. We call it crabgrass up here, and I just got some kitchen scissors, and I'm just gonna cut it in. All right, you don't have to cut it with a knife every time. There are times when little tricks like this make sense. Now those big herb shears that have like 6 blades on them, waste of money. Don't buy that. All right, and we'll just kind of give it a quick little mix in the bag. Just be aware of the size of the tip coming out of the bag, because if you make anything bigger than that, it'll get stuck. All right. Squeeze it all down. Twist the bag. And then in we go. Boom. Just like that. Doesn't have to be too crazy, too fancy. All right. You don't have to get every little nook and cranny. The trick is try not to overfill, because then you'll wind up with more whites than yolks. You can always add more yolk, all right? But you can't add more. You can't make it up, right? Like, you only have X amount of yolk for Y amount of egg yolks. All right, there's a little bit left in the bag, so we can go back in and kind of hit these guys real quick. Push down into the tip, get it all out. Oh, dishwasher is not going to be happy. Now, if you want to garnish these, again, we can take a couple of those chives and just kind of boink, throw them on the side there, and you can be fancy if you want to be. All right, so all right. I call it crabgrass because I went out and that's what I used. That's why I call it crabgrass. So there you go. Let's give it a try. And I apologize that you don't get to do this. The truffle is a great thing. Great thing. Also, I will tell you, there is definitely a difference between white and black truffle. So black truffle is more earthy and meaty. So like if you're doing a sauce or something like that, that's when you want to do the black truffle. But for the for things like that, we want to do the regular truffle. All right, so let's see. We got, if you want, we can talk all about this on our Discord channel. So I will pop that up there down below. Just go to renegadegames.com. I'll be in Discord. You can find me there. We are moving along. So be sure to check me out. If you have questions for me specifically, if you hit the Discord, you can find me. I'm very easy to find. I use my name, Chris Whitpan. Boom. Ask away. I'm happy to answer them. I also have my channel, Game All Night, N-I-T-E, on YouTube. And I did some Chris Does Stuff where I do some cooking, and we made some soup and some things like that. So, you know, feel free to check us out there. I still have 2 things left. Don't worry. We're not done yet. We're not done yet because we're kind of missing a chief component. We have some salty. We have a little bit of sour. We have some nice earthy flavors. We're kind of missing a sweet, so we still need to get there. But let's go back to our meatballs. So they've been resting. They are all good here, so we're just going to take them and we're just going to pop our skewer right in. All right, and much like Bruce Willis in The Fifth Element, I am a meat popsicle. So there you go. There's your tie. Oh. I apologize that you can't taste that. All right. Now, we are going to talk a little bit about cookies because, yes, cupcakes are awesome. They're great. I love them, and I would totally eat them every day, all day, but I can't. Because, you know, a cookie generally lasts longer, you can make them farther ahead, and you can have a little more fun with them. All right. Now, number 1, we are doing the Great Cookie Exchange. We're going to do that on Sunday. I believe we are going to do it around, I want to say 11 a.m. or noon. I forget exactly. But check the schedule for that. That's going to be on the Renegade Twitch, not the Gen Con. But it's going to be fun. I'm going to make some fresh Madeleines with everybody, and then we're going to exchange some recipes and talk about people's favorites. It's going to be very chatty. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. So be sure to check that out. Excuse me. If you want to submit recipes, do that. You can do that now. That way they are in there, and then I'm going to get those recipes together to share them out, which I think will be very cool, right? So there's the address that you can find us on Twitch. Now, let us talk about cookies. So these are a basic sugar cookie. I mean, you can find recipes all over. So there's 2 types of sugar cookies generally, like the full-on, I'm just going to eat a sugar cookie, dusted with sugar, good to go. Then there tends to be recipes for rolled sugar cookies. This is that. So what we did was we just basically made that recipe, and one of the keys is you want to chill the dough. All right, you want to chill the dough before you roll it, and then you also want to chill it before you bake it after you've cut it. So bear that in mind. And I was getting really frustrated because it's been a long time since I've used a cookie cutter, I'm not going to lie, for actual cookies. But chill it, let it go completely, and then pop it in the fridge when you're done rolling it and cutting it and shaping it, and then throw it in the oven after about an hour. All right, so we got some shapes. So we have, you know, when it comes to cookie cutters, I have a basic set of round ones, all right? This is super, super handy, great for cutting, I don't know, cookies, raviolis, anything. We can always get like special thematic ones, right? Like I got my fall leaves, which got a little piece of meatball, which is great. The other thing you can do, and I think this is kind of awesome because this is new to me, is you can 3D print your own cookie cutters. I know, it's kind of awesome. So like I made this like the Renegade logo one, huh? Come on. I got a little fancy because I put the R and I made it so it kind of raised it, which maybe was a little loco on my part, but it works. It's kind of cool, and you can just print them. Like you can make anything you want. You can go get a meeple, sure. Come on, anybody can get a meeple. That's easy. All right, but I'll show you that guy, and then you can see here the results. Boom, my bread. A little self-serving, right? I know, but I just took, you know, blue sugar, piece of cake, just put it on the outside if you want. The trick is kind of just brush the areas you want the sugar on with a little bit of water. And if it's dry and cool enough, the other sugar will come right off. Or if you want to actually put like that R in there as a template, you could do that. There you go. Someone just asked for the Twitch channel. So that's just basic sugar. All right. We can also make a quick icing. So this is just a royal icing, which is egg whites and powdered sugar. And I think there's a little bit of acid. So I put a little white vinegar. Don't put anything that's going to discolor it, like red. Let's not get crazy here. All right. But like white. And I don't like lemon juice. I like white vinegar. And that kind of allows this. This is a very kind of hard, crusty surface. But this is just, I made one batch and then I colored it multiple times. So then we got that. Cool. All right. And then I just kind of made little piping bags and then put it around, because you can make little piping bags out of parchment paper very easily. And if you want to get super fancy, you can combine the two. All right. Kind of float the cream in the bottom there. Now, this is all fun and games, and I went searching online, and I kind of found one person on Etsy. Number one is there are many places to kind of find resources for 3D printing these, but let's be honest, I didn't even have one until like a month ago. So if you need to get them done, there are places online that kind of have these. And this seller, her name is on Etsy, it's Mad Designs 3D. Her name is Maddie. And she has kind of made these two-part cookie cutters. We'll use the Beholder's the best one because he's awesome, right? Like he's just he's all mad. But it's actually two parts. All right, so we have the cutter and then we have the stamp. Now I will tell you, after using this, you want to cut the cutter down and then slide the stamp in and gently press it in and kind of get that mold on there, and then kind of cut around and clip it and then get it off if you need to. But how awesome is this? She does these and she just ships them out to you, and they are awesome. So we got a beholder, and let's see, we got to a tentacle. The tentacle is kind of awesome. It would not be a D&D thing if it did not have a 20-sider, right? Right? And of course, like a dragon. Come on, dragon. So 3D printing kind of really makes things fun. And, you know, if you don't have one or you want some of these, like just check out Maddie's shop. She was super awesome. She got these to me in like a week. I'm like, hey, these are awesome. Can I get them for my show? Because I want to show the world, because you guys rock. So I kind of took a pass at, you know, printing the die. So it's kind of, the numbers are a little rough, I'm not going to lie. That's me, not that. And I decided to go for a friendly beholder. So he's just a little funny, because I had pastel colors. I didn't have dark ones. But I did have a lot of fun with the tentacles, and the tentacles were, look at these guys. They're cool. I like the little dots and everything down the sides. I think they're just really awesome. So these are great snacks. And hey, even if you don't decorate, the dragon came out pretty awesome just by himself. And I kind of like how the flame is a little thinner, so it actually got darker. I might be giving a lot of credit on that one, but that's kind of cool how that worked out. So a great option, you know, just get some sugars. Now I will tell you, you're probably better off making your own sugar dough. If you buy the rolled tube stuff, it's a little rough, and there's some things that make it softer that are going to make it a lot harder to cut. So just, I would recommend, come on, it's not too hard. Just cream some butter, cream some sugar, throw some flour. It's one of the simplest recipes you got. So I highly recommend buy it. Now, cookie cutters are great, but let's be honest, not everybody wants sugar cookies. Maybe it's not their favorite. So what about using that cookie cutter like on some Rice Krispie treats, right? Like, we can do that. We have the technology. So these Rice Krispie treats I cooked yesterday. All right, and what we are gonna do is we're gonna spray our cutter this time. All right, I don't like to use spray a lot, but it does have its place. All right, and let's be honest, Rice Krispie treats are sticky. All right, and I only rolled this about like 1/2 to 3/8 of an inch thick. I kind of squished it around and tried to get it super flat as much as possible. And I put some parchment paper down. And to be honest with you, I probably should have sprayed the parchment paper too. We'll just kind of trim around it. And there we go. So we can take our cookie, our Rice Krispie treat, and then we can just grab the stamp and just be on the safe side. We're just gonna, I didn't think this would work. Rice Krispie's a little dense, but you can kind of see the lines, but you got the shape. And when you cut something like the tentacle, that does keep its shape. So you have that. Now, you can also ice these guys. So you can totally take some of that same royal icing and put it on top of here, and you will be set and good to go. Oh my goodness. Wow. We got through, guys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, we got through everything I had planned for you today. I am just amazed. Yeah. Use it to look, yeah, well, I would use my bench scraper, except if you remember, I think the last thing I used my bench scraper for was jalapenos. So I'm gonna play it safe and not do that. So we kind of got through everything. I think, we have our Caprese guys there. We have our great deviled truffled eggs. Of course, we have our meatballs, meat popsicles, as it were. We have our cookies. We have that. Oh my goodness, so much stuff. So much stuff, everybody. So much stuff. This is exciting. And of course, our guacamole. So you have successfully put in a great effort. And honestly, I mean, we did a lot of this live, so it doesn't take that long to just have something unique and something fun and something fresh. So I really hope you guys and ladies and gentlemen have all enjoyed this, because I tell you what, I had a blast. So join us again on Sunday if you want to do any of the if you want to do the cookie exchange. I'm excited to see the recipe exchange. I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to share all those recipes. So I think that'll be great. So with that, let me see. I believe. Oh, mouse is dead. Long live the mouse. We're going to do that thing where we cut to the screen and I say goodbye. because we're going to do that. So thank you all for watching. Enjoy and have a great rest of your day. You know what? We're just going to put this one up there.